Hey everyone, I'm back again with another video, and this one is titled Feeling Gutted After WS Did It Again. Please make sure you like the video and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you can join the Redditly family. Let's get right into it. My D-Day was almost 3 years ago. At that time, I had been married for almost 3 years when I found out my wife had been cheating on me routinely. In the months prior to finding out, my spidey sense had been growing increasingly suspicious that something was up. Like many of you here, I made the mistake of trusting my partner so readily, so instinctively, as I assumed we were rock solid. Sure, our marriage had its issues, but there were challenges that we handled together and in many ways bonded us uniquely. We were in our mid-20s when we met in a fast-paced East Coast city. We were both aspirational, optimistic, and truly loved each other. We just clicked from day one. The kind of thing you think will never happen until it does. We spent as much time together as possible. It was crazy in the best way. But after just a couple of months, things got a little turbulent. We had a child together, unplanned, and this was at a youngish age, at least by East Coast urban standards. So our relationship from then on was generally defined by stress, but also by having each other's back. We went through a lot together in terms of navigating our families, both lean conservatives, so the unplanned child was a challenge in various ways, for example. We had some real trauma bonding. The feeling at the end of the day, we came back to each other. While our trauma bonding was strong, our normal relationship bonding wasn't the best. How could we have the time? Both starting our careers while juggling child having/rearing. It was nearly impossible. I started a master's program, in retrospect probably a fit of anxiety about the other stuff going on in my life. Once that started, I officially had almost no free time. We were just completely stacked. The thing is, the day-to-day of our newfound stressful life was actually pretty okay for me. I had a fun college and early 20s post-college experience, so I was pretty ready to settle down. I didn't need any more happy hours than I had to go to for professional purposes. I was pretty stoked on the dad lifestyle, truth be told. But my spouse was in the opposite camp. Her entire life had been heavily regimented due to controlling parents, minimal social life even though her mid-20s, constantly under their thumb. So once we were married and I realized the dynamic at play, I made it a point to ensure that she could go out on a Saturday night with her girlfriends or whatever. Her friends I'd met and generally liked, so I'd stay in and take care of the baby, maybe write a paper or something. Sometimes I'd even have to cover for her with her parents, who of course lived around the corner, who might ask me why she hasn't been answering her phone. I'd say she was already sleeping. Mind you, I had a no FOMO whatsoever as I felt like I'd been there, done that, while for her, she still had that social itch to scratch. So I encouraged her to absolutely go out and have a good time. As a working mother with a stressful job, I wanted her to go out and blow off steam. The cheating essentially took two forms. Physical cheating with complete randos she met at bars, went out on those Saturday nights with the girls, and EAs with people she knew, usually co-workers. These were happening simultaneously. From what I know, there were for sure multiple 4+ people and at least 2+ co-workers category. I don't think the latter ever turned into the former, but it is hard to say. Honestly, when you're talking about multiples of 5+, it starts to lose meaning. I was so rocked on D-Day. It was a thing where I was about to go to bed and saw her phone go off. I'd had the creeping suspicions, so I caved and checked. Boy, was I in for a surprise at the scale of what I found. Christ. I was then in the final semester of my master's, working on a research-intensive thesis. Hardest few months of my life getting that done after finding out. We went to marriage counseling pretty quickly after, and I actually felt her remorse was genuine. She ended up getting diagnosed with some psychological conditions stemming from her tough upbringing, which were framed as the big reason why the cheating happened, among many other behavioral effects. I was willing to analyze the situation very holistically, and it truly did make sense. So I swallowed my pride and decided to work to stay together, for our child above all else. In the short term, things got better. Intercourse life improved. I finished school, so had more time, and it felt like we could maybe be more open with each other. After a few months, we decided on a fresh start across the country to a state we'd both wanted to live in for a long time, away from her parents, away from our past life. Things felt new and hopeful. First 1+ year went pretty well in the new state, but just before the beginning of the pan, I had a bad feeling again. She'd been hanging out with some friends of friends who didn't give off the best vibe. An example, they liked to go to strip clubs and were pretty much into a lot of drugs, albeit in a state where pot is legal. They were into other non-illegal stuff too. I'm not judgmental, but I just got a bad, untrustworthy vibe from them. I started to notice that she became more guarded again with her phone, just like 2 years before. Spidey senses tingling big time. But I lived in denial for a bit. Didn't want to say it was so, even though I knew something was up. Then one night, we were playing an online drinking game. This is like early April, mind you, so the Zoom boom heyday. And literally sitting right next to me, I saw her sending hearts and such to someone via text. Some of the unsavory characters mentioned in the last graph were present. It was so out in the open. It turned out to be a random friend of a friend who was on the video call on the other end. She said she sent him hearts because she wanted drugs from him, that's all. Nothing to worry about. It wasn't serious, etc. Talk about a red flag. So she said that she'd lay low on the drugs, and she did for a while. But in the past couple of months, I noticed a slow uptick again, starting to talk more with some of that crew again. It seemed to go hand in hand with the phone guarding, but I didn't initially think as much of it as I might have previously for a couple of reasons. An example, she would openly offer to ask if I'd need to use her phone in random circumstances, such as to follow directions in the car. She didn't used to do that. That made me think that maybe I'm overthinking again and she's just texting a random normal friend. She's pretty addicted to the phone in general, so it wouldn't be a shock. But this came to a head the other night in a weird way. We have an alarm system that is controlled from our phones, and my phone died while it should have been charging overnight. Guess it wasn't fully plugged in. I had to go downstairs immediately as the dog had to go out, so I had to use her phone to turn off the alarm. I'll be honest, I braced myself before I opened the phone. I was nervous of what I might see. Well, I caught a glimpse of the messages screen, not even clicking on an individual conversation, but seeing it among the active apps. And I saw at least 2 convos that were not good. One was a person whose name I recognized from a few years prior, D-Day era, a known prior texting partner with whom there is no other known relationship. I could only see their latest messages, and it said something to the effects of, "Wow," aka something you'd probably send a response to a pic, in my opinion, or certainly something suggestive. And I saw a random name, definitely not a known friend, with a "what you up to" message sent the night before, a Saturday where she was out with some friends. And this was just in the top 4 to 5 combos, so who knows what lies beneath. I couldn't bear to actually click on the app and see what else I might see. I was re-gutted. I've been gutted multiple times now, to the point that it's hard to feel much. But damn, I felt it again. That gut-punching feeling. Many of you all know it's like no one else in my life, so here I am sharing it with you guys. Really struggling with what to do next. I've been in individual counseling previously, so thinking I can at least start that up again, and from there, thinking about my next steps. But damn, if I don't feel like this is the beginning of the end of our relationship. I spent the past 2 days trying to act normal while plotting my escape. Something I'd never done before, but I think it has to happen. I have to preserve myself. I apologize for the dire outlook, as I do believe rehabilitation and rebuilding are totally possible in the right context. People do make mistakes or make decisions that aren't totally rational. I even experienced a brief rehabilitation and even improved in my own relationship in the short term. So if you're someone working towards change post D-Day, I want you to maintain that positive change and happiness that is possible. I have no doubt about it. But at the same time, you have to trust your gut. If it feels off in a bad way, then it might be time to jet. It hurts, but it is good to realize that at the end of the day, you can't change other people. they have to change themselves. And if they don't, then at some point your best option is to change yourself. I think I'm nearly there. And the OP has some updates for us. Over the weekend, I decided to investigate further, since the more I thought about it, the more I realized that while the text message convo previews I saw gave me a bad feeling, they also didn't give me definitive proof of anything. As a reminder, I had to briefly borrow wife's phone to turn off our alarm last week, and on the Messages app main screen, I saw one "What are you up to?" sent on a Saturday night from an unknown to me name, and another along the lines of "Wow" from a name I recognize from the D-Day 1 period, a former co-worker. Well, last night I took a deeper dive and it was eerily similar to D-Day 1. Emailed hotel reservation info for a work trip to a known former AP, attempts to coordinate similar meetups with other known former APs around the same time. Funny thing is, they actually seem to turn down my wife. Straight up, text messages and snaps sent as recently as December 2020, a deleted snap conversation with a different known former AP, another former coworker, where all I could see was wife had sent hi a few days ago. The "what up you up to" text convo was deleted. Snap seemed like it's regularly deleted as there were only 2 active convo threads, both with the conversations erased except for one-word greetings. But I saw numerous X-rated snaps under saved snaps or whatever. Can't tell who they were sent to, but it sure as hell wasn't me. I feel bad bringing you all the bad news, and I assure you this wasn't pain shopping, but I had to be 100% certain before making more definitive moves to break away. This locked it for me. There is no ambiguity around what I found. I can't keep rationalizing this, trying to ignore it, or thinking of how I/we can solve this problem. I tried. I'm done being the stable one, the rock, while my wife continues to blatantly lie day in and day out. I regret not getting out immediately post D-Day 1, but my second best option is getting out now, while keeping you posted with more positive developments when I can, in solidarity with someone else out there reading who finds themselves in a similar situation. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like the video and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, and be sure to comment below what other subreddits you want me to cover.